Hello and welcome back to another edition of Chill with Kaiju Kim. I'm Kaiju Kim. Hope you're all doing well on this lovely afternoon, evening, whatever time it is for you. You know, I started this channel with the intention of expressing my love for Godzilla. I talk about other kaiju too, of course, but for the most part, I like to focus on Godzilla, and that is exactly what we are going to do tonight. And joining me is a returning guest on the stream. He is a writer. He is a Godzilla fan and an Evanescence fan. He's basically my long-lost twin. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm welcome to my good friend, Mr. Donny Winter.
Good evening from at least my time zone, everyone. It's good to be here, and I'm happy to always nerd out with you, my dear friend.
Always happy to have you. Welcome back onto the stream.
So, how have you been lately? What have you been up to?
I've been stressed. My new job that I got a couple months back is just driving me insane, but I got a new apartment and my background looks fantastic, so yay!
I know, we were just talking in the back room, and I was expressing how jealous I am of Kaiju Kim's background because it obviously looks way better than mine. I need to put in some shelving and get my figures out and stuff like that. So
yeah,
I haven't even unpacked those things yet, and I've lived here for a year. I need to start.
You better get on that, hon.
Yeah, I need to expedite that.
Yeah, you need to step up your game if you want to keep up with me.
Oh, there's no catching up. You're way ahead in this race.
I know, I was just being modest. All right, so let's see. Let's see who we have in the chat right now. We got Vapor Dreams. How's it going? And David Brown. Welcome, welcome. Thank you for joining me. So, Donny, twin, for anyone who does not know who you are, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
I would love to. So, everyone, I am a YouTuber, of course. I do a lot of Godzilla content, but I kind of consider myself a multi-genre YouTuber. I do vlogging. I talk about other pop cultural things. I talk about mental health, so on and so forth. If you ever subscribe to me, every once in a while you'll see a Godzilla video where I'm reviewing something, doing a live stream with either Kaiju Kim or Alyssa Goji Geek or a few other YouTubers. But ultimately, I like to do a lot of different things. I also am a writer. I have a published book, and I am a professor. So I teach English in higher education. So in other words, I do way too much for my little introverted heart that can handle very few things. So
I never would have guessed you were an introvert.
Surprise.
Another thing
I'm very good at faking until I make it.
Another thing that makes us twins.
Right.
All right, really quick, just want to say hello to Godzilla Nerds 1954. Thanks for stopping in. Hello. And my girl, Gojira fan, Valerie. What's going on? How's it going? All right. Hello, Dottie. So there are 3 questions that I like to ask my guests, and it kind of leads into our topic tonight. So, what got you into Godzilla? What's your favorite Godzilla movie? And just for fun, what's your non-Godzilla kaiju movie? Favorite non-Godzilla kaiju movie? I'm tired. My brain's a little scatterbrained. Excuse me. Hello.
Literally story of my life. So I got into Godzilla through my little brother, actually. The first Godzilla film I ever watched was the Showa era Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla. And my parents had gotten my brother into Godzilla before me because he was younger than me and into dinosaurs and stuff like that. So I just sat in with him one day and watched Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla, and I was just like, this is actually really good. Like this is some good stuff. So that's when I kind of dived into it, and I watched most of the Showa era films. And then one day, and I know I've told this story before on a couple of other channels too, but one day my dad came home with Godzilla versus Biollante, and I was like, oh, this is gonna be like the Showa era 70s films. It's gonna be funny and hoity-toity. I was terrified. Like I had nightmares for like a year after that. But now it's, one of my favorite Godzilla films. So, but that's besides the point. Um, my favorite Godzilla film, see, like it really depends on the day. Most of the time it's Godzilla versus Biollante because I love the practical effects in it and how amazing it looked. The music was great. The battles were great. There was like that kind of Cold War grunginess hanging in the atmosphere of that film, which I enjoy. But sometimes it's also tied with Godzilla Tokyo SOS because Mothra is my favorite. And in that film, she is literally a goddess. I mean, she is in every film, but she's particularly one in that film. What was the other question? My favorite non-kaiju film?
Your favorite non-Godzilla kaiju film?
Okay. Well, that would have to be the 90s Mothra trilogy, honestly.
Of course. Should have guessed.
I I could write a dissertation on why I think those movies are amazing and why people should stop underrating them. Because truthfully, the only reason why they are not super popular is because they simply are geared toward a younger audience, right? If you kind of take that out of the equation and go into the films thinking that, they become a little bit more entertaining. I just think that they're very whimsical, they're very colorful, the music's great, and they're usually my first kaiju films to go to if I'm going through something difficult and I kind of want to like escape for a while. So it's just, they're fun. They're fun.
Fun times. All right, before we jump into our topic, we have a question from David Brown. Which show do you think is better, Godzilla Singular Point or Pacific Rim The Black? Good question. What do you think, Donny?
Well, I've not seen Pacific Rim The Black, and it's okay if anybody shares spoilers because I am cool with spoilers, believe it or not. I've watched Godzilla Singular Point. Spoiler warning if you have not watched it, in case I may say something offhand. But Godzilla Singular Point was interesting, but it would not be like my first go-to for like something Godzilla related. It would not be something that I would introduce a new Godzilla fan to because it's very cerebral. It's very, what's the word? It's very like high-end science,
Yeah, technobabble filled.
Yeah, like, and don't get me wrong, like I'm a Star Trek fan and I love technobabble and I could understand about 85% of it, but then there were some like areas of it where I was just like, wait, is this a plot hole? Is
Wait,
this,
what's happening? What's going
like,
on?
is this somebody's fever dream? Like, what's going on? So, I do still need to watch Pacific Rim The Black because I've heard some pretty good things about it. Kim, what do you think?
I
You
mean,
might be able to
so
answer that better than me.
yeah, I have seen both series, and I think, surprisingly, at least to me, I think I like Pacific Rim the Black a little better because it honestly it's easier to follow along with because like I said, there's a lot of technobabble in Godzilla Singular Point, and which I can kind of sort of understand what's going on, like enough to follow along and know that there's like stakes and whatever. But Pacific Rim the Black is a little more my speed. Yeah.
Where can one watch Pacific Rim The Black? Is it on a streaming service?
Netflix.
Netflix? Okay. I see I am like way behind on the times. So like I like Pacific Rim, but it's not like I'm not as committed to Pacific Rim as I am Godzilla, right?
Same. Yeah.
But I'm checking out the comments.
Ooh, we
Godzilla
got Professor
Train,
Kaiju in the house.
a
Hey.
fellow professor. Hello.
Hello. Welcome. All
Godzilla
right.
Train wants my hat. I got it at FYE, actually. And I think you can get them on Amazon.
Oh, I'm
if
gonna
I'm
need to go on Amazon after the stream and get me one of those hats.
Yep.
Awesome. All right. So let's talk about our boy Godzilla.
That's what we're here for. What? I'm kidding.
Hello. Yes. So, what exactly is it about Godzilla that you love? Like, what is it? What do you think?
Ooh, that's a good question. See, when I was a kid, okay, so I kind of answer that question based on where I would be in my life, when being exposed to Godzilla. Like when I was a kid, I just thought that it was super fun. Like I thought Godzilla was entertaining. He he just really made me feel like I was empowered by something because he was like kicking butt and he was not dealing with ridiculousness, so on and so forth. Believe it or not, when I was a kid, I of course loved films like Godzilla's Revenge. Like I thought that was a great film when I was a kid because of the bullying storyline. And when I was being bullied in school, like I was just like, "Ugh, I want to be Godzilla. Like I want to be able to, kick some major butt. Now, as I got a little bit older, and I actually, and I'm going to be talking about this a little bit later too, because um, I, I'm a professor, but what I do on my free time, I am also a professional writer. I write poetry, and Godzilla has found his way into my poems frequently in the form of him being like this anomalous creature, right? I'm very intrigued by the fact that he is this anomaly. He came into existence and is sort of unnatural because it was human flaws that created him, and he continues in these films being misunderstood, kind of being the other. And I've always kind of felt that way myself, like, and mind you, some might argue that I'm overanalyzing, but I say, hey, this is my profession, it's my job to overanalyze. But I digress. I really found that otherness comforting in some fashion. So that's why I've as I've gotten older, now that I'm, in my 30s and having multiple existential crises, I'm really kind of relating to a lot of this otherness, and that's manifested itself a lot in my writing. How about you?
Yeah, I don't know. For me, it's kind of just always been ingrained in me, Like it's just always fascinated me, and I've never been able to pinpoint why exactly. I mean, I guess it's because my dad showed me my first Godzilla movie when I was a toddler, so I was exposed to it at a very young age. Like almost everyone I've spoken to in this community at least had a fascination with dinosaurs prior to getting into Godzilla, but for me, it was kind of the opposite. Like I loved Godzilla, then I got a little interested in dinosaurs. It's weird. I'm weird.
Hey, that's why we get along. That's why we're twins, because I'm weird too. But I think that's super interesting. Because you're right. Like I do. I mean, even in my own experience, I liked dinosaurs first, and then like Godzilla, I was like, oh, this is a big dinosaur that blows out atomic breath. Like what? Like what's not to like about this?
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, I think that's super interesting. I see Omniviewer is here. Hi,
Yay,
Omniviewer. It's good to see
Omnivore, what's
you.
good, bro? The technobabble in singular point most likely doesn't mean anything. Even Toe and Joe copped to as much.
Omniviewer, I watched your episode reviews of Singular Point, and I was like, preach. Like, I agree. Like, nice work on those videos.
Yeah, Omni viewers, good people. Had him on my stream a couple months ago. I should have you on again, Omni. Hit me up.
We should do a stream together because I don't think Omniviewer and I have gotten a chance to. Have we done a stream together? I don't think we have yet. I know we've like kind of done like video responses and stuff before, so
Yeah, we should all like get together one day and just
that would be
hang out.
fun.
That would be so awesome. So, speaking of having discussions on other channels, you and I had an interesting discussion a couple of months ago on your channel about whether Godzilla is a hero, a villain, or a natural disaster. So, I guess we can dive into that a little bit here too. So, that was a while back, and I don't quite remember how that conversation went down. It's been a crazy summer. My memory is a little foggy. So,
Well,
refresh
if it
my
helps you feel
memory.
if it helps you feel any better, my memory is a little bit foggy as well, but I feel like we can kind of rehash the conversation. If memory serves me correctly, we talked about like a variety of different films and how Godzilla has been depicted in those films. And we
Mhm.
came to the conclusion that the only films in which he's honestly depicted as a villain is Godzilla, Mothra, King Ghidorah, GMK.
Mhm.
I don't think there was another one that we really. I don't think there was one that was really fully focused on him being a villain. Most of the other films depict him either as a hero, like in the Showa era in the 60s and 70s, or a natural disaster, like in the Heisei era, and some of the Millennium Godzilla films, and even like Shin Godzilla, for example.
Yeah, exactly. So, do you prefer him as a hero, a villain, or a natural disaster?
I personally prefer him as a natural disaster because I feel like that, and you guys are more than welcome to disagree with me if you'd like, mind you. I feel like that reflects more so his origin being a natural disaster. And I think that there is a lot more that one can do with the character when it isn't, put into a specific box like good or evil, because those can be kind of limiting story wise, right? Whereas as a natural disaster, he could take on many different forms, have many different roles. There could be a whole variety of different themes that might come out, that don't focus on that like good versus evil dynamic that we kind of fall victim to because it's so overused when you think about it.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, so for me, I always see Godzilla as the hero, even in films where he's meant to be the villain, because again, I was introduced to him at a young age, and one of the movies that I watched all the time as a kid was Godzilla versus Megalon. You can even see a poster for that movie behind me. Yeah, I love that movie. I don't care what anybody says. But yeah,
It is a good movie.
it's a good movie. Yeah, he's very much the hero in that film, and I've just always seen him that way. Like like we said, like the only film where I actually do see him as a villain is GMK, but even then, it's still like, yay, Godzilla. But yeah,
Right. I'm like the A Godzilla until he, incinerates Mothra, and then I'm like, sobbing uncontrollably. But
oh
that's
yeah,
besides the point. Um, so okay, so I do enjoy Godzilla being depicted as a hero. I would say that my favorite film in which he is depicted as a hero is Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster. Because I really love, like, I feel like it's Avengers Endgame, but Toho Monsters. Like Toho did it. Well, actually, I would say Destroy All Monsters is Avengers Endgame, but you know what I mean.
yeah,
But I feel like Ghidra the Threaded Monster does a great job of like developing the monsters as characters, which is super refreshing to me. And seeing the transition Godzilla goes through was cool. Like I was just like, oh, Godzilla is like on humanity's side now. Like he's joining forces with Mothra and Rodan, and this is really really cool. So when the monster verse started happening, and the monster verse started kind of riding that line between Godzilla being a natural disaster and a hero, I really enjoyed that. Like I actually Godzilla King of the Monsters, even though it has its numerous flaws, is my favorite MonsterVerse film because I love being able to see monsters joining forces and learning about their connections, so on and so forth. Like Godzilla and Mothra being symbiotically connected, I thought was a very interesting concept. And it like storytelling wise, I think they executed it very well. Um, so in those instances, I really love Godzilla being a hero.
yeah, awesome. All right, Godzilla Train seems to remember our conversation from a couple months ago. I think I think we agreed that he is all three, and that is why Godzilla is such an amazing character. You can connect with him no matter what role he is playing in that movie, but still, for me, natural disaster.
I'm glad you have a better memory than we have.
Yeah, maybe your summer wasn't quite as hectic as mine or Donnie's.
Or maybe I just have the memory span of a parsnip. That could be it too.
Same here, same here. All right, from D. Duvall, 59. Even in GMK, he's not really villainous. He's just pure vengeance for all the people of Japan wronged over the years. That is true. That is true.
Yeah, that is a good point. Like, I guess one could argue, like, I mean, what defines a villain, right? Like, if there was an injustice, then I guess in that film it would be Japan that was the enemy, that the actual villain, right? Because of the atrocities committed during the world wars. So
Hmm. So I think in our previous conversation, we also mentioned that Godzilla can be considered an anti-hero or like a tragic character. And again, you'll need to refresh my memory. What was your take on that?
so okay, so usually in my understanding of an anti-hero, mind you, I don't have as much fiction writing experience as I do poetry writing, but anti-heroes typically take on certain characteristics and roles of heroes, but they don't have like the hubris and the, moral dilemmas that standard heroes typically have. So that's why, like, especially in the MonsterVerse, I viewed Godzilla being more so an anti-hero, because him being heroic is working to his advantage and working toward humanity's advantage, but he really wasn't doing it because he was like, I need to save every last person. Like, it wasn't about that. It was about like, hey, you gross monster, you're in my territory. I need to annihilate you. Like, you know. When it comes to him being a tragic character, I really look at films like Shin Godzilla. Um, because like Godzilla obviously in that film looks very mangled and very, he looks rough, let's just say.
Mhm.
And like there's just a certain pain about the character that I think is unique. This also is in Godzilla versus King Ghidorah, 1991. Like that scene where he encounters, oh, what's that veteran's name in that film? Is it Shindo? I think so. He encounters him again after remembering being saved or protected by him back, during World War II. And he kind of has like this very, I don't know, like this memory of this, and he gets very emotional over. Like Godzilla clearly experiences emotion, but because he has been turned into this giant monster, um, he's just bent on feeding and destruction. That's, I think, what makes him uh, tragic, because he can't live like other living beings necessarily. Like he has this constant urge to feed on nuclear radiation and get to it no matter what, stands before him, right?
Mhm.
I hope that made sense.
That made sense to me. I don't know about everyone else. No, I'm joking. So yeah, as far as Godzilla being a tragic character, yeah, I mean, for all we know, he could just be he's just going through a stroll through Tokyo, not trying to make a mess, but he can't help it because he's so huge. And here come all these military guys trying to kill him, and he's just trying to go about his day. And at the end of the original film, the oxygen destroyer destroys his oxygen, and he's just trying to take a nap. That's tragic to me. So yeah.
Oh yeah, I do think that's tragic too, 100%.
It's tragic. He's just going about his day and they go and kill him. It's so rude. Yeah, but
I think there's a certain level of like tragicness at the end of Godzilla versus Destroyer too.
oh, that's
Like
very tragic. It's a tragic film. Made me
Godzilla.
cry.
Yeah, oh, same here. Like I have a really hard, like between that film and the first film in the Mothra trilogy where there's like those significant deaths, like they're really, like Toho was really wanting to destroy people's, emotional well-being in the 90s apparently. Um but like there's a certain degree of tragicness to his character in that film too, because we see him going through this transformation where he is like on the verge of melting down. He likely doesn't understand what's happening to him. He still has this drive to feed. He is literally sick when you think about it. Like he's sick from overdosing on radiation, right? So like the fact that like he's literally dying the entire film and likely doesn't know what's going on or why, like I didn't think about that when I watched it when I was a teenager, but now that I'm like older and like overanalyze things, right? I think of that and I'm like, this is like, oh my God. This is too heavy for me.
I know.
I need to go to therapy for this film.
I have gone to therapy for it. Oh my god. Oh my god.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
Oh my god. Now that film is even more tragic to me now. Thanks for that.
You're welcome.
Thank you. I can always count on you.
You
Okay.
can always count on me to be depressing.
Yay, I love it. So, yeah, about him being an anti-hero, I think he can be seen as an anti-hero because while he does save the world multiple times, he's not really doing it for the humans. He's kind of doing it because he doesn't like other monsters on his turf. Like, I think the motivation determines what makes a character an anti-hero, and saving the world purely so you can remain the alpha species sounds kind of anti-hero-ish to me. Yeah.
Right. You know, I'm glad that you mentioned that because like motivation is so important, right? Like when it comes to analyzing characters. I think that's why I took issue with Godzilla Singular Point at times. Not to go back to that again, but like it just seemed like the kaiju in the even the humans in a way, like there didn't seem to be a distinct motivating factor for these characters. So that's why for me it was hard to see like their development. And you know, maybe that was the point of the show. Maybe they wanted to create something free of like very distinct motivation. I mean, that could be something we could do a whole other stream about, honestly. Um, but I do think that motivation is important, and I think in most Godzilla films, Godzilla's motivation, not to mention the other characters' motivations, are typically pretty clear for the audience.
Indeed. From Godzilla Train. That's how I feel about the original Gojira as well. He feels like a victim, and Godzilla was a victim on Destroya as well, due to the mankind's repeated mistake. Yes, indeed. Indeed, indeed. Man always gets in the way of things and ruins everything and makes everything suck. All right, so we've been pretty positive about our boy thus far. Hence the title, Why We Love Godzilla. But you gotta admit, he's not perfect. We still love him,
Yeah.
but he's not perfect. So, is there anything that you dislike about Godzilla or his films?
I would argue that not necessarily it's Godzilla, but like you were mentioning films, like I think the perspective in which it's presented to us kind of gets a little bit repetitive. Like I know the other day, I was watching my partner's favorite Godzilla film is the 2014 Legendary Godzilla. And every time I watch it, like I just think the human character is just I cannot get emotionally invested in them. And when I think about it, like between that and Shin Godzilla and Tokyo SO, like and so many other Godzilla films, it's usually depicted from the military's perspective, and that's fine. I just think that they don't do it in a way that's, you know, refreshing or interesting or a fresh take. I would say that Tokyo SOS might be a little bit different because we got to see it from a, you know, technical engineer's perspective who is, you know, somehow connected to the military. Like that was a little bit different, you know. But in every other film, it's mostly like, oh, how is the military going to stop Godzilla? It's like I'm kind of ready for, like, there's been these rumors of people being interested in a Godzilla film that, you know, doesn't have any human characters. Like, okay, that might be interesting. Like, you know, let's see how that would go. But I think it would be really cool to see a Godzilla film, like maybe from the perspective of, you know, someone who is, I mean, we kind of see it before, but somebody who is like following Godzilla, but maybe in like a different light, maybe not like in a scientific or militaristic light, but with a different motivation, you know, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I
Um,
wouldn't mind seeing a film like maybe like a Godzilla fan like us, like just like wants to follow around Godzilla just for kicks and giggles. Like, yeah, he's so cool. I want to study him and draw pictures of him, stuff like that.
right.
That
Exactly.
we almost kind of get something like that in Godzilla 2000 with the Godzilla Prediction Network, but then again, that's still like sciencey type stuff at some point.
Right, right. And like again, it's okay for it to be sciencey. Like
Yeah.
sometimes, like in order to understand Godzilla, like the scientific narrative needs to be there, right? Um, I like I would love to see a film where they delve in, like if we look at the Monsterverse, I would love to see a film where they delve into like the history of the Monarch organization, to see like how was that born? How did they find these titans? Like what was that process? Like we get bits and pieces there, but you know, it really wasn't, that interesting that we've seen. Prof Kaiju says, what 2014 had plenty of great characters like Bryan Cranston. I think you're probably being sarcastic, right? So like I know that like that film could have done some phenomenal things with the characters. Like Elizabeth Olsen, who plays, what's her character's name in that film?
El Ellie
Elle something.
Elsa El El
Elsa, Ellie,
Ellie
I don't know,
El,
something like that.
Elizabeth
But
No, I can't for the life of me remember her name. That's how bad the characters were
right.
in that film.
Well, I think like of course this was earlier on in her career. I think that was right before she was in Avengers Age of Ultron as the Scarlet Witch, because obviously we've seen her career like blow up in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Like her role in that entire film was being like, where are you? Where are you? Where are you? I got to give my kid to my friend. Where are you? Like,
Elle Brody, thank you.
thank you. Like, and it, like, I wanted them to do something more with her because I thought that she was an interesting character. Like, maybe we could have seen more from like the medical side of things of people being hurt. And, yeah, Godzilla is being painted heroic at the end of this film, but he is causing a lot of destruction. Like, how are people surviving this? Like, do people have radiation poison? Like there's so many different things they could have done with her. But much like Bryan Cranston's character, like they both were kind of sidelined and they focused on like this kind of two-dimensional main character who was in the military, who I think they could have done a little bit better with too, because he clearly, his mom died, his dad died, his wife and child could have been potentially died. Like there could have been a little bit more emotional development, in my opinion, but feel free to disagree with me, everyone.
I mean, I don't know about the people in the chat, but I definitely agree with you there.
Oh, thanks.
Good Lord. All right, so what do I dislike about Godzilla films, if anything? Well, this is kind of nitpicky, really, but I feel like he doesn't do much nowadays. Like, at least in the Toho productions in the past 6 years, like like in the anime trilogy or even in Shin Godzilla, if he's not just standing still, he's moving at a snail's pace. You know what I mean? Like we get a few awesome moments where he's like shooting his atomic breath or whatever, but those moments feel so few and far in between. But that's just me nitpicking.
Oh, I completely 100% agree with you. That is exactly how I felt. Like I was irate watching Godzilla Singular Point because of that reason. I was like, is Godzilla's behind a cloud this entire time? Ooh, like this is like what's happening, Um like honestly, like there are criticisms, but like obviously like these are things that hopefully might get, shifted around for, refreshing purposes in the future. I'm planning on doing a video here soon about why I think Toho has kind of lost touch and doesn't really know what to do with Mothra right now. You know, for example, because Mothra in the last couple of iterations, Toho's iterations, the anime trilogy, Godzilla Singular Point, she's been relegated to being a ghostly shadow or a flock of mini moths. It's like where is the queen of the monsters? Like no, don't get me wrong, like in the anime trilogy, she was referenced numerous times and had some sort of like backstory, but we didn't really get to see her or anything like that. So, like, I really think that Like Shin Godzilla was a really refreshing take on Godzilla, but I think if and they say they're planning like a cinematic universe for Godzilla, like I really hope that they reinvent these characters. Yes, I did see Alyssa's video about Mothra.
She
It
does
was
good
very
work.
informative. She does.
Shout out to Alyssa Goji Geek. Have fun in Japan. I'm very jealous.
Right. Me too.
Yeah. All right, let's see. So let's bring it back to positives. Any other
Okay.
positive things you have to say about Godzilla? Like,
Chapter
I
one.
think I think we we covered pretty much everything, but anything you want to, say about him?
Okay. I got in this debate with my partner the other day. Mind you, my partner is in no way the degree of Godzilla fan that I am, right? He kind of is a Godzilla fan because he has to deal with me having it on TV all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But we got in a debate about Godzilla being a pop cultural icon. And I think that that's not talked about enough. The fact that Godzilla is such a cultural influence, like around the entire world, right? Like Godzilla is a recognizable character. There is weight to the name. Like people know who he is. And of course this could be said about some of the other, main characters in the films too. Godzilla's the best. Enough said.
True story.
100% agree, Joel. Yes.
Joel speaks the truth, ladies and gentlemen.
I love it. But I do think there needs to be more conversation about him being a pop cultural influence. There's conversation about it in like, academic spheres and like very cerebral technical article stuff, so on and so forth. But I think fans should have more conversation about like, yeah, like the iconic character that we love is a pop cultural phenomenon. I mean, the franchise is one of the longest standing franchises there ever has been, one of the largest film franchises there ever has been. Like that's so significant.
Yeah, he has his own freaking star on the thing, right? He has like an
Right, which
star.
I had a chance to see that a few years ago and it was amazing. Like got a little emotional over that.
I want to see it. I'm jealous. And he's an official Japanese citizen as of 2015, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
So yeah. From Shadow Zeus, Godzilla has saved the world multiple times, therefore he's awesome sauce. True story.
So I have a question for you.
You do.
I do. So if you were a movie director and you had a chance to do whatever you wanted to do with Godzilla, what would you do?
Whew, how much time you got?
I know that's a big question. I'll answer it after you do too.
Someone asked me a similar question a few months ago and I had a decent answer. I don't remember what it was. Probably something like I mentioned earlier, like a film that kind of centers around someone that's not in the military or not a scientist, like just a normal everyday person that's like a school teacher or something like that. Just, get a different perspective on Godzilla, or maybe even a film from Godzilla's perspective is something I would get. I know there's comics that are from Godzilla's perspective, but I wouldn't mind seeing a film from that perspective as well. So I'd probably do something like that. And Joel says Godzilla versus Gamera. I would also like to see Godzilla versus Gamera. Yes, I think everyone wants to see that. What about you, Donny?
I like that. I've done this in fan fiction already, but hands down, I would continue the Heisei Godzilla films. I would bring back Megumi Odaka as Miki Sagusa. I would continue the story of Godzilla Jr. Because this Godzilla vs. Destroy ends on a cliffhanger.
It does.
Like that's one of the biggest cliffhangers in the entire Godzilla franchise. Why not continue it? Megumi Odaka has expressed that she would be interested in returning again.
Yeah.
Capitalize on the nostalgia, Toho. Come on now,
guys. All right, what's up, Toku Society? How's it going? Thanks for joining us. I would honestly do a Godzilla horror film or a documentary focusing on the kaiju. Ooh. I would like that.
I do like that too. I've also thought about a film. You know, like in Godzilla, Mothra, King Ghidorah, GMK, there is an organization called BS Digital Q, which is like a media organization that does like monster horror shows or whatever. I think it would be really cool to do like a kaiju show from that perspective.
That would be cool. That
Yep.
would be awesome. Godzilla
That
versus
could be
Gamera
like
would
that
be legit.
documentary style.
Yeah. Godzilla versus Gamera would be legit, or a team up for them. A team up. Who would they team up against?
That would be the question.
Hmm.
I would also, if I were to make a film, I would find a way, because what drives me bananas is that Toho did not connect the Mothra trilogy and the Heisei Godzilla films. I really think that they would have gone way better if they would have been, you know, story-wise connected in some fashion. P.S. Not to do a shameless plug for my own fan fiction, but in my fan fiction, I have a series where I do connect the Heisei Godzilla films and the Mothra trilogy. But I really would have thought it would be cool to see Godzilla face off against like Death Ghidorah, like who I think is one of the scariest incarnations of Ghidorah.
He's
Which
pretty
it would
scary.
be really, yeah, it would be really cool to see that. Um, would you at least clarify Godzilla versus King Ghidorah's time travel mechanics? Yes, 1 trillion%. I would definitely clarify that. Um, I would clarify that the Futurians, as they were called, have the technology to make adjustments to the timeline without it shifting things, without it shifting people's memory. Obviously, it would be way more technical than that, but like I would incorporate it as being like it's part of the tech, it's part of their advancement. So,
All right. Question from Mig Bar. Least favorite Godzilla movie?
oh, I might need an alcoholic beverage for that one. Just kidding. um, Probably for me, it's Godzilla Raids Again, and I think I've mentioned that before, possibly. I mean, I've watched it and I've watched it multiple times. I've watched the Japanese version, I've watched the Americanized version. That movie was just made on the coattails of the first Godzilla film because they were trying to capitalize on the success and they were trying to rush something through as quickly as possible. And to me, like it's very obvious. like um if I'm doing like a Godzilla marathon, I'll watch it. But like if I'm wanting to watch a film, like something that's very dear to me, it's definitely at the bottom of my list of ones to select. How
Yeah.
about you?
Yeah, I think I kind of agree with Godzilla Raids Again as far as films like that. I couldn't sit through the Americanized version. Like they got so many things wrong, and it was just bothering me too much. I'm like, no, I had to switch to the Japanese version.
Right.
But yeah, and Godzilla versus Destroyer is also low on my list. Not because it's a bad movie. I'm not saying it's a bad movie. It's a fantastic movie, but I don't enjoy watching it because it's depressing.
Right. So another one, and please, nobody listening, please don't eviscerate me. But Godzilla versus King Ghidorah, I like the film, but out of the Heisei films, I think it's my least favorite, and here's why. We have The Return of Godzilla and Godzilla versus Biollante, both very grungy films with very high quality, like like excellent battle sequences, excellent animatronics, so on and so forth. Switch to Godzilla versus King Ghidorah, and to me, like something has left that kind of like that grittiness. Like that grittiness is no longer there, and it continues in Godzilla versus Mothra, so on and so forth. I don't know. It could have been a change of director or something, but I really think that there was something that was lost after Godzilla versus Biollante, and that's why Godzilla versus King Ghidorah kind of like I get frustrated when I watch it because I'm like I feel like the practical effects aren't as real looking, as visceral looking, if that makes sense.
Yeah. All right. Question from Godzilla Nerds 1954. If you could film one MonsterVerse movie using these four monsters as Godzilla's opponent, who would it be? Space Godzilla, Biollante, Gigan, or Destroyer? Hmm.
Ooh, okay. Do you want to answer that one first? I might need time to think.
Okay. Um, I do like Biollante. I would like to see her in more films. She's one of my favorite kaiju. She might actually be my number one favorite kaiju aside from Godzilla, of course. So yeah, I'd probably go with Biollante. Destroyer is kind of cool too because he looks like the freaking devil, but yeah. But I would probably go with Biollante. What do you think?
I agree. I like now. Um, I understand. Like, I feel like Godzilla King of the Monsters did a lot to set up for Destroyer potentially, like with the use of the oxygen destroyer. So I think that there's potential with that. But I really think that Biollante was such an interesting character. She was essentially the Frankenstein's monster of the Godzilla franchise, right?
Mhm.
Like this, desperate doctor creates, this monster with a human spirit. Like that would be so interesting. It would be interesting to see humanity try to create something like that, because like in the monsterverse, Godzilla is not the creation of humanity, right? So like we kind of lose something in Godzilla's origin with that, but I think with Biollante they could kind of reclaim that a little bit. um yeah.
Hmm.
Joel says, don't ever change Godzilla's words, too iconic to tamper with. Godzilla Train 1090 says, there was a huge switch. The shooting are a mile above everything else in the Heisei era. Yeah, agreed.
Yeah. Let's see. What else do we have? Let's go back a little bit in the chat, see if we have any more interesting questions or comments. In the meantime, Donnie, why don't you tell people where they can find your stuff?
Okay, so, well, number one, if you would like to subscribe to my YouTube channel, it's Donny Winter. I always appreciate the support. I love having conversations with Godzilla fans, so on and so forth. Um, you can also find my stuff if you go to my website, donnywinter.com. There you'll mostly see like my creative writing stuff, my publications, so on and so forth. If you were like, I know a lot of people are passionate about supporting artists in the Godzilla fandom. I would consider writers, a part of that artist category, and I do write some things that do have to do with Godzilla. They're just poetry. So if you're interested in that and you want to check it out, donnywinter.com, I would greatly appreciate it.
Awesome. All right. And last question for the evening. What Godzilla films would you recommend to beginners to get them into Godzilla?
um, well, I would say that I would have them watch the original Gojira film. I would have them watch the original Mothra film, and then that would transition them into the Kiryu saga. The Kiryu saga is my favorite series of Godzilla films. Love it. Like I think we've talked about that like in a stream with Alyssa. I know I talked about it with Alyssa on, I think it was her channel like maybe a month or two ago. But I really think that the Kiryu saga has all of Godzilla's best aspects. Riveting characters, interesting battles, some of the classic characters like Mothra and Mechagodzilla. I think there's a lot for people to enjoy in those films that would be good for a first-time viewer.
Awesome. All right. So lately on the stream, I guess like to give something away to the viewers. So do you have anything for our lovely viewers this evening?
I do. So first and foremost, so I love pins. I love Godzilla pins. So I'm going to be giving away 2 Godzilla pins. This Monsterverse pin. It's not focusing very well. There we go.
There it is.
I am going to be giving you a Toku Arts little Godzilla pin. If you've not, will you focus, camera, for heaven's sakes? Well, suffice it to say, it's a lot cuter than the camera is showing. But if you've not visited Toku Arts is a wonderful site that does a lot of like Godzilla enamel pins. In fact, I have a Rainbow Mothra one coming right now. And like this individual who does these like often will donate proceeds to good causes. So definitely check that out. And last but not least, the last prize I'm going to give is a signed copy of my collection of poems, Carbon Footprint, which has a couple of Godzilla-related poems in it. Those will be the prizes. So shall I give the question?
All right. Do you have a question?
I have a trivia question, and whoever answers it first and correctly, I guess we'll get the prize. Is that how it normally works?
That's how it works.
Perfect. So my trivia question is, outside of Megumi Odaka's character, Miki Sagusa, what other human character appears most frequently in the Heisei Godzilla films?
Ooh.
Do.
I need to like make a video for this segment. Past time, all the contestants think of their answer.
I know, I'm waiting with bated breath.
I know.
So while we wait for somebody to answer, what are some goals and aspirations you have for your YouTube channel moving forward?
I would like to hit 1,000 subscribers at some point. I'm a little more than halfway there, so yay. I just need to find the time and energy to make videos. Like, the streams help. That's why I've been streaming a lot, because it's easier than filming and editing. So, but I want to get back into that. I want to make more content. I want to, meet more people in the community and grow and all that fun stuff. So that would be fun. Yeah, that's basically it.
That's my goal too. My goal too. Nobody's answered this question yet. I must have really stumped people.
All right, should we ask an easier question?
Well, like, see, I don't know, like, that question, like, do you know the answer to that question, Kim?
I think so. Is it one of them?
Tell me in the private chat.
Okay, hold on.
For those of you who need a reminder of what the question is, aside from Miki Sagusa, what human character reoccurs in the Heisei Godzilla films most often?
Okay, I think...
And you are correct, Kim.
Okay.
Yes, you are correct.
All right, cool.
I will give you hints. This person is older than Miki Sagusa.
Mm-hmm.
Appears in the later Godzilla films in the Heisei Godzilla saga. Let's see if that helps. If not, I will continue, because somebody's got to win, because I got to... Oh, okay, Godzilla Train 1090.
All right, close enough. There we go.
General Aso. Yep.
All right. General Aso was the answer.
I absolutely love him. He was grumpy and profane.
He has a hate boner for Godzilla.
Basically. And I love that he was always saying like swear words constantly. All right, Godzilla Train, you won this little contest. So if you could email me your information, like your address, I will mail you these little tidbits. My email is donnywinter@gmail.com.
All right. Congratulations, Godzilla Train, on winning our little giveaway. And thank you, my long-lost twin, Donny, for coming onto my stream.
Thank you for having me. It's always wonderful to be here with you.
I will definitely have you on again, my good sir. And to you watching at home, thank you so much for taking a few minutes out of your day to hang out with me and my lovely guest. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. Like this video if you had a good time with me here today. And be sure to follow me on all the socials to get an idea of what I have coming up next. I have all of Donnie's information in the description down below, and all of my information also down there. All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you again, Donny, for being here. And we will see you next time. Bye.